Hello, everyone. Welcome to MTSU's Office of Research and Sponsored Programs GrantForward Workshop. I'm Casey Penston, Program Assistant to ORSP. Today's workshop will cover some basic strategies for finding funding sources for your research or project. MTSU has been a longtime subscriber to GrantForward's program platform, so please, we encourage you to use its services to its fullest. I will be monitoring the chat box today. So if you have any questions, please type it there or simply unmute to ask. We will also be offering a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. I would just like to share a couple of slides before we present. The first slide provides a link to where you can conveniently create a profile on the GrantForward platform. So this is the ORSP Funding Opportunities page on our website. If you've never been there, it offers great, rich resources for research. So if you click on faculty funding, you will see GrantForward and a convenient link listed there. On the next slide, this provides both ORSP and GrantForward resources for your use. I will be disseminating these resources as well as this recording after our workshop has concluded. So thank you for being with us today, and I will now hand it over to Alex.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'll share screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Alex. You can call me GrantForward, Mr. GrantForward. I'm going to show you how to use GrantForward to help moving your research forward. So Casey has kindly organized the agenda here, which I think is very good. So we will go over these bullets. So first, we'll show you an overview of GrantForward. GrantForward aims to support your information need for the entire pre-award information needs. Yeah, pre-award means before money is wired into your account. So it's actually more than finding grants itself. Okay, so we will see you how you can do, other than finding funding opportunities. Then I will then focus on finding grant opportunities, which means the specific call for proposals that you can write a proposal to get money to do your research. I will then talk about another way, and in my opinion, an easier way and a better way of keeping your awareness about grants, which means you just sit back and receive grant recommendations for grants that are close to your research interest. I will show you how you can create your researcher profiles. Casey mentioned the link, you can create your profile. I will show you how to do that, and also from there, how you can receive grant recommendations. I will show you also the possibility of using GrantForward to know about experts, possible collaborators, or even finding reviewers for your research purpose. And then we'll have a Q&A session. Okay, good. So let's get started. Before I introduce GrantForward, I want to show you that we have quite a strong offering of support educational materials. One of them in particular is called the Researcher Welcome Guide. Here, this document, you can think about it as the reference, the handout for my demonstration today. We will show you from creating account, doing simple search, create the profiles, receiving recommendation. Okay, this whole process. So I will also send this link to Casey, so we can include this in the information after the webinar. Okay, so now let's start with introducing you what GrantForward is. So I assume you all have accounts, but such a webinar should reach everyone in the institution, because GrantForward is going to be used with everyone with an at mtsu.edu email address. GrantForward is a website. You can sign up there. Okay, I will show you so they can tell your colleagues how they can use GrantForward. Okay, they can come to GrantForward at grantforward.com, come to click on this sign up. Then they can enter their email address. Okay, you will show your institution, Middle Tennessee State University. You can enter your name, You can enter password and well, like any other good website, you enter it twice. You select your academic unit, okay, so that the administrator can also see the usage different academic units, and also when they disseminate the news data or other information, they can disseminate to the right unit. I will mention that. You tell GrantForward who you are. GrantForward is used by a lot of researchers, but also students. About 25% of our subscribing institutions are actually from the graduate student office. Okay, so if you are a student, click here. If you are a researcher, click here, so that GrantForward will tailor the search filters, which I will show you how to use. The default will be tailored to your status. Then click on this create my account. You will receive an email to validate you have entered the correct email address. Then I can log in. So I'm going to log in with a real account. He is a professor at the University of Illinois. We are affiliated with the university in Central Illinois because GrantForward has been developed at this university many years ago. It was originally called the IRIS, Illinois Research Information Service. And only until a few years ago, because of need to modernize the technology so that we can do it in a more automatic way to be more comprehensive in the grant database. Therefore, it was transferred to a group of computer science graduate students and the faculty to continue to work on it. So the account owner is a professor in computer science, and here he has an administrator account, so they can also mention administrator capabilities. But if you log in, you will see, most likely you will see with member researcher, which means that you are the end user, okay? So now I will walk you through the various aspects of GrantForward. As I mentioned, it's a pre-award information service. So first, let's look at grants. So I will come back to here. Grant means future funding opportunities that are open or continuous, means that they are active to receive your applications. I will come back here to do search, but without any search here, okay, 26,000 of active grants that are waiting for your proposal, for your application. So you learn about grant through this search. You also learn about grant through receiving recommendation. So for this account owner, a computer science professor, these are the recommendations that he is being reminded. Okay, he also received emails. I will come back to here. So we'll focus on discuss this search and the recommendation capability. But let's first move on. When you hear about a grant program, okay, you might be wondering what topics are fundable, who have been getting such grants. Okay, so the best way to look at successful examples is for this reason. So GrantForward is the only grant database that actually provide award search. So award means funded project. So without any search condition here, you see there are more than 1.1 followed by 6 digits. So it's 1.3 million of projects funded in the past 20 years. Okay, so for example, if you are looking at a big data grant, okay, say big data grant from NSF, you can search by keyword big data. You can see now it narrowed down to 400,000. Okay, these are grants that contain the keyword big data in any part of the grant, say abstract, title, or program. This one is big data science and engineering. Okay, it's in 2016. Okay, you can order this. I can order this by award amount. You might be curious how much money is being invested into research in big data. So this is 700 million price. Is very, very big amount. Okay, 400 million, 2018. This is pretty recent. You may be interested in seeing what's the most recent grant. You can order them by start date. Say this is August 01 next year. This is May 01 next year. They have been funded but have not started. So this gives you an idea of what's the newest ideas people are proposing. Like this one is a career project. Okay, you can read all the the abstract. You can see the funding agencies, the program, and also the PI. Okay, So I mentioned about finding reviewer or collaborator. I'll come back to here, but we have seen our users who are pretty creative. They use award search not to find awards, but to find the human being who are able to get money funded for certain research topics such as big data. And these are definitely experts. And if you are writing a MURI, say multi-university grant, you may want to reach out to them on the relevant topic because they might be your potential collaborators. And grant office actually could use this to find the potential reviewers for your internal grant programs. This is award search. Next, let's move on. It's important to know where money can come from. Okay, so that's why we have this sponsor directory. And surprisingly, even for a very natural service like this, GrantForward is also the only grant database that provide you the comprehensive A to Z index, actually from 1 to Z index of funding sources. You call it funding source, you may call it grant maker, okay, you may call it funding agencies. Yeah, so here from A to Z, from 1 to Z, one-on-one lesson, 10,000 degree. Each one has its information detail page. You can also click on link, go to sponsor website. It's like this. Okay, so that's a website like this that allow us to discover the presence of of funding agency. Okay, we keep monitor their website so that we can find the new grant information and pull the information into our database, so you can get a one-stop to find grants that are relevant. Okay, so I talk about from A part to the Z part. The Z part is, say, Zurich University of Applied Sciences. You can look at, say, big funding agencies such as NIH. National Institute of Health is a humongous funding source. It has 2,500, okay? So about actually 10% of all the grants are coming from NIH, okay? You can, for big funding source, the benefit is that you have one place in a pretty organized way, okay? You can view their funding, their grants. I can see totally it has how much grant, okay? It belongs to this Department of Health, okay? It has all these different sub units, okay, or their institute, such as their, let's see, this one is environmental influence. This is NCI National Cancer Institute. It has 500 grants itself, and yes, other. You can look at all the grants from the different top NIH in a pretty organized way. Okay, but of course, you will also be interested in non-NIH grant. You ask about how I can find the non-NIH grant. I'm tired of NIH grant. I'm getting too much of it. I want to get foundations. Yes, so if you are doing, say, cancer research, okay, you can search funding agencies by keyword cancer. You might be surprised, okay, it narrowed down from 16,000 to just a little bit over 100. Sounds like a small number, okay, but I bet you don't know all of them. You may know American Cancer Society, which has 13 grants. You may not know, let's say, American Italian Cancer Foundation, which has 1 grant. Okay, this kind of more specialized grant, which bear their specific mission in their names, their grants are usually specifically focused on the relevant areas of your interest. So you want to search or you want to monitor, follow up grants from these specialized funding agencies. I will show you how we can set up safe search to monitor grants from, say, American Cancer Society. You mentioned you want to look at foundation grant. Yes, you can look at the sponsor of different types. So federal, state, okay, very small number, only 300 out of the 16,000. This is why you should go beyond grants.gov, because grants.gov only cover the federal part, not even the state part. Okay, we do pay attention to the state funding agencies, such as your state Department of Health. Okay, in our subscribers state. So you can see these are the government ones. Foundation, very important. There are tons of foundation in the whole US. Okay, more than, I believe, 100,000. However, not every one of them has a well-shaped funding program. So if they have a call for proposal section, if they have this well-publicized grant program, they will be in GrantForward. So here we have more than 8,000 foundations that you can submit a proposal to. These tend to be the foundations that are more major, such as Gates Foundation. I will show you how we can do a search by the foundation names. Okay, corporate, these are companies such as 23andMe, such as 3M. Academic, these are universities that also provide the funding. International, these are GrantForward focus on grants that US institutions can apply. However, the funding sources come from worldwide. If their headquarters are outside of US, they are categorized as international. For example, say if I see WHO, World Health Organization, it's international. It has quite some grants that are relevant. Okay, good. So this is about sponsors. Okay, I think we keep thinking about why GrantForward has such comprehensive grant coverage compared to our competitors. And I think one reason we can think of is because we make our sponsor directory transparent. So everyone can see what sponsors or data sources we cover. So if you find anything that your favorite agencies we have not included on our directory, you tell us, we'll be able to add them to our service, our database in 2 to 3 days, then everybody benefits. I believe that's the reason why we are so comprehensive in our benchmark. It's about 5 to 10 times more grants than our competitors. Okay, so next, you need to know about researchers when doing research. So GrantForward is also a database of researchers. We talk about networking, we talk about finding collaborators, we talk about finding reviewers. This section can help you. GrantForward is also a database of researchers. Researchers create a profile at GrantForward. You can view the profiles within your institution. For example, this is the owner of this account. He is a professor in computer science. Okay, and then this is his keyword of his research. It's about infectious disease, it's about curriculum development, it's about community detection, about web sources, about turbo framework. I have no idea what that means. He has been doing research from 1996 all the way to 2021, and he was doing something similar but different. For example, COVID-19, for example, 10 years ago. Okay, and then these keywords are the most important. This describes his interest, and this makes us know what kind of researcher he is. And he did not enter all these keywords one by one. No, he wouldn't even remember. But when he looked at all these keywords, perhaps all these keywords would make sense to him. And he did not enter these keywords. He simply let the system derive these keywords from his scholarly work. Every researcher has some scholarly work. Okay, or if you work with some researchers, they have their scholarly work. So he simply tells GrantForward that he has 110 publications, but he did not enter them one by one. He tells GrantForward where to find his publication. And let's take a look at this link. Okay, this is his personal homepage. So he simply tells GrantForward this URL. Okay, and then GrantForward will pull data, pull these 110 publications into the system, and collect the keywords that describe his research interest. Okay, and he can enter additional keywords, such as he wanted to get into COVID-19. Well, he didn't do this before 2019, so he could create more keywords. Let's look at some other example of, let me look at other institutions. Okay, so there are many profiles here, so let's look at this one. This is an assistant professor in Medical University of South Carolina. She's doing SLE disease, HIV. Okay, I'm looking for keywords I can pronounce. Okay, she's been doing research for a long time, and her research, her scholarly work is entered by found on CV. So she simply uploaded her CV in PDF, and the system extracted all these from her publications. And let's look at more example. This one. okay, a professor in Minnesota State, doing free communication, sports medicine, varsity football, concussion, okay, and he also entered the CV. Okay, PhD student. He copy and paste publication text. He simply copy and paste. I will show you this way. Copy and paste something that look like a reference publication list. Then GrantForward extract all these relevant keywords such as labor unions, American labor history from his scholarly work. Okay, so it's pretty flexible. I will show you how you can create the profile. But the end result, why people spend time to create the profile? Well, it's not much time, about 3 to 5 minutes. I will show you pretty easy. However, the end result is you will receive, let's see. Okay, so this is an example of the recommendation. It says GrantForward the recommendation, okay? Dear user, since the last time 5 new grants, okay, and then shows a list of recommendation with a list of grants, grant title, summary, sponsor. But you notice how this is different from the newsletter you may receive from the sponsor program office. You may have received that, and let me show you some example. You may receive newsletter from your sponsor program office, such as this example email from Office of Research, College of Engineering at my university. It's a list of grants. GrantForward also support the capability if you are grant administrators like Casey. This is very important capability. You can select grants and disseminate to your faculty. Okay, we support that. However, this personalized recommendation is somehow different. You notice many keywords are highlighted because these grants are specifically for you. These keywords such as social network, data science, social network, profile, infectious disease, you know that it's recommending to someone working in computer or IT with an interest in medical science. Okay, so this is how this is personalized because you will see all these keywords. They are highlighted to know why GrantForward considering each grant as relevant to you. And therefore, monthly, we send out about 40,000 such emails. And we have not heard complaints that these are spams just because of these keywords, very intuitive. And you can actually come back to GrantForward to adjust these keywords. Okay, not only that keywords are intuitive, that you know about why grants are relevant, why you should know about each of them, but also that you actually control the kind of recommendation. I will show you that. Okay, good. Let me go back to GrantForward. So next is administrator console. So I will just briefly look at this. These are a set of capability only when your grant, when your GrantForward account is administrator. Otherwise, you will not see this tab. This tab allows you to, for example, look at the usage statistics at different departments, allow you to manage and organize users into different academic units or special interest group, allow you to disseminate grants, or allow you to create newsletter. And let me show you an example of newsletter. For example, let's see, this one newsletter was created when we were discussing with Mayo Clinic. So it's a newsletter, okay, consisting of a list of grants that will be prepared and coming out from your grant office or any other relevant office to disseminate the grants of certain kind of importance, such as limited submission or grants you want to promote in certain area. So this is about grant dissemination. Okay, the next tab is support tab. Here you will find a lot of useful material, include the guides I talk about today. Okay, the welcome guide for you learn about GrantForward. There are many other things such as recorded webinars. But let me go back to, well, this tab is pre-solicitation. So here, okay, again, we want our researchers to stay ahead of the game. So they will learn about information about grants even before a grant is finalized and published. This is called pre-solicitation. It's any information announcement from funding agencies. So here, this is September 14. This is a few days ago. This is about this announcement. Okay, you can search, for example, the search with keyword cancer. You can see, for example, this is notice of intent to publish. This is from NIH, okay? And then this was September 08. So this is a very standard kind of pre-solicitation. It means, it says that we are preparing this funding opportunity. It's coming soon. We want to let the community know about this because it takes time to prepare a proposal. Yeah, so this is pre-solicitation. So as you can see here, from pre-solicitation, funding opportunities, funded project, funding sources, and your collaborators, GrantForward aims to support your information need in the pre-award process. Okay, so there is also a homepage that shows you all the personalized information, such as the search template, the grant list that are shared to you, or any alerts. We'll mention this. So let me now zoom into finding grants. This is our second topic. We are now getting to finding grant opportunities. Okay, I will first talk about how to do search. Then I will talk about how to receive recommendation. Doing search, you should only be doing search, which means you come to visit GrantForward at grantforward.com only a few times a year when you are looking to start a specific project, okay, with a specific topic. Otherwise, you should sit back and receive recommendations and focus on, or spend your time on research and teaching. So now, do grant search. You have a specific information need. For example, you want to, let's say, I look at the user feedback about you could not find a relevant grant in maybe nursing area. So let me show you how you would do this. Okay, so you would start with maybe giving some broad keyword. Let me give a very broad keyword called healthcare. Why? Because a funding program is usually relatively broad. Okay, it may not be specific about diabetes, but it's about life sciences, about disease. So you use broad keywords. So I will do a search. So it narrowed down from 26,000 active grants to just about 4,000, still very large. You might be worried, but don't worry, money is never too much. We will learn how to narrow it down. You will see that this is not big enough. Okay, we are just starting with very broad keywords. So you see each grant, okay, has a title, has some key summary information like a June 1, this is due next year. And it has quick summary of the amount, how much, the deadline. If it has much more deadline, it will be shown here. Eligibility, who can apply, okay? And the submission info, how to submit, okay? And if you are interested in each grant, you can click on it to read about more information. You can visit the opportunity source. It is a web page like this that publicizes the information about a grant. So reading this, you'll get more idea, okay, about what a grant might be specifically looking for and their personality and so on. Okay, so these are, for example, it shows you list of 4 recent grants awarded. So this helps you to know what kind of awards they are giving out. Okay, so now let me come back. I can go to the search list here. Okay, so let me see. I want to make this more tailored to my research area because we start with something pretty broad. So now I can click on this plus sign. I say I want to do something about nursing. I want to do something about, let's say, infant. I want to do something about newborns. And I want to do something maybe about, let's see, child care. Okay. And I definitely don't want to do anything about chemistry because of my high school experience. I insist. Okay. So let's do a search. So now it narrowed down to 3,000. Okay, but you see the keywords that you care about are now surfaced to the top, like a child, infant, newborns, okay, child, okay, infant. So these are more likely to match your interest, but still without losing possibilities. Okay, so if you think these are too many, you can always add more keywords or reduce keywords. Now it's 500. Okay, I can look at this each of these grants. Okay, so here this looks like okay, it's time that I actually inspect each one. I can click on the detail. I can adjust the keywords. For example, so for example, I can change the keyword healthcare to life science. Okay, so now I can see a different set of grants. So yeah, so you have to try different keywords, but let me explain the structure here. It's pretty easy to understand. Now we realize that the healthcare or life sciences that we enter in the beginning are all of the keywords that must be there. And the additional keywords that describe your specialization, these are any of the keywords, the more, the better. But you don't insist on that each and every one of them must be there. They are optional. They help to rank, to surface the more specialized grants. Then the chemistry, which I insist I don't do anything of them, this is none of the keywords. So if you are from library science, you may recognize people call this the Boolean search, the and, or, not operators, or the conjunction, disjunction, negation, but we are not so academic. We just call them all, any, none, pretty easy to use, and people have no question about that. All you need to know is that you need to click on this plus sign so the additional boxes will come out. And the secret here is to start with broad keywords and then add the optional ones so that you will see the grants that are possibly relevant. But now you look at each of these grants. For example, this is scholarship. You say, I'm a grown up. Okay, I don't do scholarship for 20 years now. Okay, so what do? That's why you need to go beyond topical keywords. These are relevant in topics, but not so applicable to your status. That's why you need the filters. Filters are conveniently arranged at the left side. We don't need them. When we don't need them, they are not scary. But now we need them. They are actually pretty handy. So I will click on grant type. I will say, I don't want the fellowship scholarship. Okay, of course, if you are a graduate student, this is what you care. But now if you are full-time, if you are an adult, you say minus, I don't want it. Internship, I don't want it. I want to emphasize research project. Training courses, I don't care. Okay, travel, I don't travel. Who travels anymore? No one, right? So no travel. Workshop, conference, I don't organize that. I'm not doing postdoc. Okay, other things, I don't care. So now I have reduced this to 256 because we have removed those fellowship and other student-oriented grants. And I've also made sure that the research kind of grants are ranked at the top. Okay, so there are other ways I can further tailor the grant list. For example, we want to be ambitious. Okay, so I want to look at grants that are more than about 500,000. Okay, so I slide this bar or I simply enter 500,000. Okay, so now these are grants that are more than 500,000, 217. And I want to get busy for the next 2 months, which means I want to look at the grants that are due maybe from the beginning of December. Imagine you are preparing the next list of grants you want to work on, or maybe you are preparing the next episode of a newsletter. So these are the grants, the future grants that are due, soon, maybe from December to January, end of winter. Okay, so only 23 grants. Now it's time that you carefully inspect each of them. Okay, so for anyone you think relevant, let's put them into a list. So I can put this into my Muri grant list. Okay, or I can create a new list. Let's call this new list. Okay. I say this MTSU highlights and I give it a color. Okay, so I'm building a list. Okay, I can add this to the list again. I can also add this to the list. So we are creating grant list. I can later export in PDF file or in Excel, or I can share with my colleagues, or I can use that to prepare a newsletter if you are an administrator. Okay, so now let me demonstrate what I promised earlier, how we can monitor grants from, say, a funding agency. So I will show you how to do safe search. So let me reset everything to default. So now no search condition. The only condition now is grants being open and continuous. And of course, I should mention this. You can also look at the closed grant, because grants come and go in cycles. A grant that was due in January this year might come up again January next year, which is very soon. Okay, so this is why we also have closed, but the default is continuous and open. And now I want to say that without entering any keywords, I say I want to look at NIH, National Health Institute of Health. I want to look at NSF. I want to look at American Cancer Society. I want to look at the Gates Foundation, maybe Gates Melinda Foundation. So we have seen our users who enter as many as 20, 30, often foundations or funding agencies in certain specific areas, such as cancer or diabetes or what. Okay, then they do a search. They see there are 1,751 results. They will say, I want to save a search. They will call this search as, they say, my life science grant, okay, or actually my favorite sponsor. So just give you a name, and I say I want to receive alert every Monday. I save it. It says the next alert will be September 27th, which is next Monday. Okay, so now I'm not entering any keywords. I'm only entering sponsor, but of course you can do keywords as well. Okay, then you will have further filtering. You can also set deadline. You can do anything. But the end result is you will be receiving an alert like this. It says, dear user, okay, you have set alert for one safe search. And the safe search is called my COVID-19 grant. What we just said is called my favorite sponsors. So here, my COVID-19 is a list of COVID-19 related grants because of my COVID-19 search. But if you set that to my favorite sponsors, you will receive any new grants published by the sponsors on your list, okay, regardless of the keywords. And only new grants will be notified to you, like here, 28 new opportunities. You are not going to see the old grants that already are on this list of 1,700. So this is how you can set up safe search and follow the grants of your favorite sponsors or any of the good search you have set up. So the use case here is that you could create, for example, a safe search for any of your research direction or a new topic you are working on, and then receive alerts every Monday to be informed about new matching grants. So this is about grant search. As I said, you should only be doing grant search, taking the trouble of coming to GrantForward only maybe a few times a year. Other times you will focus on your mission of teaching and researching. And at that time, you will be receiving recommendation. I show you recommendation can be from an email, okay? Just to show you again, this is example recommendation. And this is another recommendation for the same researcher. You see a lot of keywords are highlighted, but all of these keywords are dear to the heart of this researcher. Okay, so to receive such recommendation, okay, let's look at this here. So this is the recommendation page at GrantForward about this account owner. As we see, it's a list of grants. But unlike a search, although this looks very much similar to the search interface, we see many keywords are highlighted, like modeling, science, social network, community, data analytics, infectious disease. So this is not from a search. He couldn't have entered so many keywords. These are from his research interest. And the research interest from his profile describe his interest as data science, analytic platform, semantic proximity, and so on. And you can adjust this timeline to see how his research interest evolve. Okay, and it's because of this timeline, weighted timeline of keywords that allow GrantForward to find grants that match his research interest, as well as highlight the keywords so that he knows exactly why each grant is recommended. He or any user can also tailor the recommendation. Like this researcher says that he didn't want to be recommended about fellowship, internship, just like the search we did. So now, even if keywords are matched perfectly, if a grant is scholarship, it wouldn't be recommended to this researcher. He also set up further filtering conditions, such as amount. He only want to know about sizable grants that are more than certain amount. Okay, so how is GrantForward able to know about his research interest? It's because of his profile. So here we can see view profile here. This is his researcher profile. We have looked at this earlier as our example, a set of keywords and other basic info, and also his list of publications.
Alex, I would like to also mention that in sending out this resource, we also did a previous workshop in very great detail of setting up profiles, accounts, and editing profiles. So I will be happy to include that also in the resources that we send out today. So that's perfect. I know we have about 15 minutes left to address the remainder of the agenda, and then also take questions and answers. And also, just a reminder, I am monitoring the chat box. So if anyone has any questions as we move forward, just type those in. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Yes, yeah. So here he used publication page as a source. And let's look at this easy process of how to create a profile. So you can go to this Create Profile tab under Researchers. You can build a profile for others. Well, you are a nice person, okay? You can build a profile for yourself. So here, let me do this. The profile is already created. I'll go through the editing process, but it's entirely the same as creating. 3 steps. The first step is filling in basic info like a name, title, department, 2 minutes. The next step is the most tedious, but shouldn't take more than 2 minutes. It's about getting the keywords describe your research. And there are 3 ways. You can tell GrantForward a publication web page like this web page, which we have looked at earlier. Okay, let's see, it's his personal homepage. You can also use, say, Google Scholar page like this. You can use any page that contains publication info. It knows this is Google Scholar. You can also use PubMed, ORCID, bPress. Okay, so as long as it's a website, GrantForward can go visit and then find publications that are your interest. Okay, then GrantForward can pull data from there. You can also upload a CV. Okay, you can upload from your computer a Word file or a PDF file that contain your publication. You can also manually, earlier we saw one graduate student who just manually, okay, copy and paste the publication list like this. You can also do this, then GrantForward take the rest to parse out, extract your publication. The most popular way is upload a CV or specify a publication website. You can even tell GrantForward to visit every 3 months, every 6 months to update. You can also unclick some keywords that you were doing that when you were young, but not anymore. People's interest to shift. You can also enter new keywords that you want to get into, such as this researcher was not doing COVID-19 before 2019, but now he is interested in that. He did not have publication on COVID-19 yet, but he wants to get into that. So he entered COVID-19 and give it a weight. Okay, he entered other keyword like infectious disease. Okay, so this is the second step. The third step is you enter additional information so that people who want to network can find you and set your profile to be private, this is the default, only users of the same mtsu.edu can view your profile, or a public. We saw many public profiles earlier, so people can reach out to you, they can find you, even search engine can collect information here and search. You specify recommendation email frequency, such as every month, if you care about grants, weekly, if you actively look for grants, every day at 8 o'clock, if you are desperate for grants. Okay, so people mostly set monthly, and every month, as I said earlier, we send about 40,000 of such recommendation emails. It's very popular. Okay, so with all this, you save this profile. You will take some time to build it, but the end result is such a pretty rich, a very informative description of your research interest, and therefore you will receive grant recommendations with all the keywords you care about highlighted. So our next item is about networking. Okay, I've mentioned this actually along the way already. You can find researchers through basically the search researcher. I can see many researchers within my institution, especially if your institution take the effort to create a lot of profiles from your faculty directory. We do that as part of our service so that you can find all your colleagues. Say, for example, in my university, many people are doing things about artificial intelligence. Can I find out all of them, even they are not in computer science? Okay, you can also find out the researcher across different institutions. You can do search. For example, you can do artificial. You will find the researcher whose interests include artificial intelligence for you to reach out to. And I also mentioned that even in the award search part, you can find the expert, okay, such as this Mr. Smith at NYU, okay, he will be expert in something about scripture transform, I think it is about religion, yeah, and other things. You can find the collaborators this way, okay? I've gone through all my main agenda. I think I want to see if you have questions. We have about 10 minutes.
So I have one question just to start us off. As far as setting your profile to private versus public, can people within your own university network with you even if you have your profile set to private? Only
members of the same institution can view profiles that are private, basically in the same institution. Okay, but if you set it as public, then anyone can view that. You can see I can see my account is with U of I. I can see researchers in other institutions. Let's see, researchers. Yeah, across all institutions. These are researchers who are from other institutions. There are about 13,000 public profile here. Most researchers set it as private. But I think one important capability is for researchers to find out other related researchers even within institution, because it's a big one. For us, for example, in U of I, it's hard to find out all people who are doing artificial intelligence or automatic something. Okay, so if you let us create the profiles more systematically, say from your faculty directory, it will be pretty easy for users to find other relevant researchers when they need to find the collaborators. And in that case, even private, yes, people can see that because they are in the same MTSU.edu domain.
Okay, thank you.
I have a real simple question. I've just been looking around while you've been showing us stuff. Is there a way to increase the number of listings of the grant per page, like to 50 or 100 instead of like just 10 or whatever it's showing? Is that easy to do? Like if you do a search, when the results come up, instead of it just defaulting to 5 or 10 results, could it show 50 or 100 if that's how many come up?
No, there is not a current capability. So right now, this number of number of result is fixed. There is a more compact form. So the layout you can select. There's a more compact form. Okay, but even this form is this how many grants per list. Okay, we can consider this if there is a need on this. You want it to be Maybe we can change it to select maybe 100 grants okay, per page, but you can also consider export.
Okay.
Export is to export your search result as many as up to 1,000.
Okay.
Okay, then you can export it to CSV file. CSV is something you can open and read in Excel. So I think this is as good as showing all the 1,000 on the same page, but it's currently done through this export.
Thank you.
And your saved searches and favorite searches, those can also be exported and saved with faculty members that come to mind, correct?
Yes. So I use Safe Search. I set up a Safe Search called My Favorite Sponsors earlier. Okay, that's here. You can view all your Safe Search under the Safe Search tab here under Grants. So you can click on it to run the search again, or you can change other parameters such as the alert frequency. I should also mention another related capability is grant list. I showed you how you could create grant list. I did not show you this page. I should. This is how you can manage your grant list, such as the many grant list I have created. I just created this MTSU highlight today. Yes, 3 grants here. And again, you can export it. This is for grants. This is for the list of grants you have considered, you have shortlisted. Now you can export it. Again, you can export it as a CSV file or PDF file. So for example, I want to share with my collaborators. So I export into PDF file. So this is the PDF of the grants that were selected to my list. And then I can use this to inform my collaborators the grants I am considering. So this is export from the grant list. You can create as many grant lists as you need. For example, you are a professor, you create a different grant list for your different research area. Or if you are a grant administrator, you can create grant list for faculty in different departments, different college, and so on. Okay.
And I am aware from an administrator standpoint, just for our faculty's knowledge, that this platform, you're also capable of creating groups, interest groups, correct? And users can join those groups?
Yes. So for example, if I go to my home page, now this is loading. Okay, if I go to my home page, click on user group, these are the, so if you are the administrators, which means Casey, okay, if they create the grant list for you to, and the grant lists are public, you can join anyone. You can join the big data interest group, you can join the humanity faculty group, and so on. And then they will share grant list to, for example, if they create a big data grant list, they will share that to the grant list, and then you will always see the update of grants that were selected to that list. So creating a special interest group, that's the capability of an administrator. Okay, here under administrator console, I can create, say, custom groups. I can make it public or private. If it's private, the administrator will control it. But if it's public, anyone, you as a member of the institution can sign up to join. Just go to the homepage as I showed earlier. You can join that. And then the grant, grant can possibly, so for example, there are several grants, these that they were shared. I'm sharing this to the humanity faculty group. Okay, I can add more recipient, I can add individual faculty, I can add departments. Earlier, I said you want to assign which department you are in. So for example, you are in psychology, you are in animal science. Okay, so that when a grant or a grant list is shared to a specific academic unit, you are associated with the unit and you will see that. That's why we ask you to select your academic unit when you create your account.
Okay, good, thank you. I did have one question come through, and I know there is a way when searching for grants to toggle or manipulate location. So I'll read the question. This user feels like that a lot of grant options come to them as grants that they are not eligible for because they are limited to certain locations. I know that there is a filter for location. Is there also somewhere in your profile you set that up, or is that specific to each grant search?
Okay, so first of all, it's available in grant search. So let me explain this. There are many filters I did not explain, but they are also very useful. If it's not clear, you should contact us, but let me explain this application location. There are two kinds of location, kind of tricky. One is applicant location, where you can apply money from. The other is activity location. If you receive the money, where would you perform the activity? Okay, so applicant location perhaps is the most important and most common. So if you want to say only grant I can apply from Tennessee, you can click on this map bubble. It knows your home location. Like for me, it's Champaign, Illinois. So now when I do search and with this on, I will not see grants that I cannot apply, okay, from Central Illinois here, but you can add more. Say if you are also affiliated with, say, Indiana and Iowa, you can apply from there. So now you are considering more places, okay, but only grants that are either restricted to these places or grants that have no location restrictions, such as they are national, then they will be shown to you. And this is about applicant location. Another kind is activity. This means where the research activity or whatever activity, such as travel or conference, that should be performed. Okay, so you can similarly do this. Okay, this will often not be the place where you are, or it can be wider range. So you can specify this as well. So this is about specifying location filter in your search. And then I believe you can also do this in your recommendation. Let's see, it's under grant recommendation. So yeah, you can similarly set. So now I'm at the recommendation page. As I said, the recommendation look really similar to search page, except the keywords box. You don't see the input because it's from all your interest keywords, but you have control of filters as well. You can control the amount that should be recommended to you and the type. And of course, you can also set the locations. So set here, then only grants that he can apply from this place. Okay, there is some pretty sophisticated data extraction and the filtering going on here. It involves extracting the location specification of a grant, if it has any, say it's in Illinois, then determine whether your location is part of that place. Okay, yeah, so but you can specify this so that you will not be recommended about grants that are outside of your geoscope. But that really depends on your purpose, because we have heard researchers saying that they just want to be informed of any grants that are relevant to their topic. Their purpose is to see what's kind of trending up. Okay, so it doesn't have to be only grants they can apply. They want to see what's the general topic around their interest. So in that case, you don't have to set this, but if you want, the control is here.
That's insightful, thank you. So we just have a couple of more minutes. Are there any more questions? All right, so I'll be sending out this recording and all resources to all registrants. We also have the ORSP training page in which we have an archive of past trainings. So you can always go on that page and look at any resources or recordings from past workshops. So if there's any other questions, just unmute, feel free to ask or type in the chat box. If not, we'll go ahead and sign off. All right, well, thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Alex, Mr. GrantForward, for this presentation. I appreciate seeing everyone and be looking for the resources. Thank you.